Have you ever had one of those weeks where you're just on fire? Everything clicks, your performance is through the roof, and you feel like you're unstoppable. And then the very next week, something changes. Suddenly it's like you're not the same athlete. The results are just meh. What happened? Your fitness didn't drop overnight, your skills didn't just vanish. So what's going on? Here's the truth. It's not your body, it's not your ability, it's self-doubt. Self-doubt is the silent killer of consistent peak performance. It creeps in, makes you second guess yourself, and suddenly you're holding back even when you don't realize it. This is a battle every athlete faces. It's why even those at the highest level cannot string together a consistent run of 8 or 9 out of 10 performances each week. But here's the good news. Self-doubt doesn't have to be permanent. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to destroy it. I'll break down 3 key lessons every athlete needs to learn if they want to eliminate self-doubt for good and unlock their full potential. So let's get started. Before we can destroy self-doubt, we need to understand what it really is, especially from a sporting perspective. Because here's the thing, if you can't pin down what's causing your self-doubt, it's impossible to overcome. There's so many definitions out there of self-doubt, and it will look different person to person. But for the most part, it can be defined as a lack of confidence in your own abilities, decisions, or capabilities to achieve desired objectives. It's when you question whether you're good enough, prepared enough, or capable of handling a certain situation. So how does this show up in sports? Well, for athletes, self-doubt can be a mental weight that drags you down no matter how much you've trained. And it often emerges for 3 main reasons. First up, perfectionism. Many athletes set impossibly high standards for themselves, and anything short of perfection feels like failure. Now, I'm all for aiming high, but perfectionism can create this underlying belief that you're never quite good enough. And when that happens, doubt creeps in. You start questioning whether you have what it takes, even if you've proven time and time again that you are capable. The drive for perfection can turn into a trap, making you focus on every mistake and completely overlook your progress. But look, no athlete is perfect, even at the highest level. For example, footballer Erling Haaland at the time of recording has won back-to-back Golden Boot awards in the Premier League as the league's top goal scorer. But since joining Man City, no one has missed more big chances than him. He knows that to put up the insane numbers that he does, he also has to miss a heck of a lot of chances. It's just a numbers game. Of course, he intends to score with every shot that he takes, but he doesn't then beat himself up for the rest of the game if he misses a good chance. He knows he can still be world-class without being perfect. And then the second main reason for self-doubt in athletes is the fear of failure. And trust me, I've seen this right the way from 11-year-old academy players right through to professional athletes in their late 20s and 30s that I've worked with. Fear of failure is all about focusing on what could go wrong instead of what you're in control of in the here and now. You're engaging in mental time travel about worst case scenarios that haven't even happened yet. Whether it's worrying about letting your team down, your coach down, or even yourself, this fear just plants seeds of doubt in your mind. It makes you second guess your decisions and hesitate when you need to act. And that's why you then perform in a super clunky way. Usually free-flowing movements become super stiff or feel completely foreign and alien to you. And you don't need me to tell you once that hesitation kicks in, it's impossible to perform your best. Then the last reason that self-doubt ends up suffocating athletes is sometimes a more legitimate one, and that's a lack of evidence. Think about it, when you don't have a solid foundation of experiences that prove you can succeed, your brain has nothing to lean on when things get tough. Experience breeds unshakable confidence. Just think about Real Madrid in the Champions League. The history of success in that competition that the club has had means that the current squad always believes that they will win Champions League knockout games, even if they're losing with only a couple of minutes to go. Whereas teams and athletes new to a level of standard or competition, they literally don't have that level of experience, and it's then very natural to doubt themselves a lot more. And every single athlete will go through this in some shape or form throughout their career. If you're a younger athlete or stepping up to a new level of competition, it's easy to doubt yourself because you don't have enough wins under your belt yet. Building that evidence base takes time, and that's okay. Every game, every training session is an opportunity to build up proof that you do belong where you are. So we've spoken about the most common sources of self-doubt that athletes face. Now let's talk solutions. So first up, to overcome that perfectionism that often fuels doubt, you need to focus on building selective perfectionism. Because deep down, perfectionism is a double-edged sword. Although you can never have the perfect performance, striving for perfection within reason undeniably pushes you further than you would otherwise do. And so a great approach to perfectionism comes from the GOAT of tennis, Novak Djokovic. In an interview after becoming the US Open champion in 2023, and in the process winning a record-breaking 24th Grand Slam championship, he said the following.
I guess, maybe you can call me perfectionist. I mean, I know I'm not the only one. I know there's a lot of great champions in different sports that thrive on this kind of approach to perfect themselves, their approach, their game, their performance, their recovery every single day, on and on. And that's why LeBron James still keeps going at his age, or Tom Brady, or grades like that.
Now, what you hopefully noticed there is that Djokovic said he thrives on perfecting himself. There was no mention of playing the perfect tennis game where he wins every single point or match that he plays in. Perfectionism to him is about his approach, his recovery, and his game. In other words, how he trains and develops his skills. So this is really a great example of that selective perfectionism, where you look to perfect the things under your control and things that your individual efforts will definitely impact and improve. You can kill off a lot of the self-doubt in knowing that you're doing all you can when it comes to the things that you actually control and have a say over. Again, things like your training, your diet, your recovery, your mental preparation, and your studying of the game. Those are things that you'll never be 100% perfect on, but you can always get better at and tangibly improve. Whereas seeking perfection in outcomes is a losing battle because of so many things outside of your control when it actually comes time to compete. Sometimes you can perform near perfect and still lose because of a bit of bad luck, bad refereeing, or your opposition having a 1 in a million world-class performance. That is the reality of sport. So seek perfection sparingly and direct that drive towards things that you have more of an ultimate say on. And so our next strategy to beat self-doubt is one that combats the fear of failure that we spoke about earlier. And this is to start redefining failure as feedback. In psychology, this is known as a learning orientation. Instead of seeing failure as something to avoid, you see it as a natural and necessary part of growth. The best example of this comes from the basketball GOAT Michael Jordan. And I'm sure you've heard this one before, but it goes like, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot, and I've missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Jordan understood that failure isn't something to be feared, it's something to learn from. It's feedback on what needs work, and it's a step on the path to mastery. So let's imagine for a moment you're a striker in football, and you miss a penalty kick in a crucial game. The fear of failure makes that miss feel catastrophic, and self-doubt starts creeping in. What if I can't handle the pressure? What if I'm never going to be good enough? But if you redefine that failure as feedback, you'll instead think, what went wrong in my technique? What can I adjust next time? This mindset turns failure into a learning tool, not a reflection of your ability. By seeing failure as feedback, you reduce the fear attached to it. It's no longer a career-defining moment or a reason to doubt yourself. It's actually a chance to get better. And research backs this up. Studies show that athletes who adopt a learning-oriented mindset, they experience less performance anxiety and are more resilient. It's not just about failing, it's about what you do with that failure. When you redefine failure as feedback, you take fear out of the equation. You know that every misstep is a chance to fine-tune, to evolve, and ultimately become a better athlete. All right, now let's talk about the third and final way to destroy self-doubt, and this one's a game changer. When you feel like that you don't have the proof that you can succeed, that's when doubt really creeps in. So how do we fix that? Simple. You build your evidence base. One of the biggest reasons athletes doubt themselves is because they don't have a clear sense of their progress. When you're not seeing the results or you're stepping into a new territory, like moving up a level in competition, your brain defaults to thinking, am I ready for this? But here's the key. Confidence doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's built from evidence. And the best way to gather that evidence is to track both objective data points and your subjective experiences. On the objective side, it means tracking things like your speed, strength, shooting percentages, recovery times, anything that's measurable. These hard numbers give you undeniable proof that you're making progress. But it's not just about numbers. You also need to track the subjective stuff, how you feel during and after training, what new skills you've developed, or how your mental toughness has improved. Sometimes it's the intangible things that make all the difference, those things that replace self-doubt with the self-assurance that you are more than prepared to perform. But how do you ensure that you're recording and tracking the right things for you as an individual athlete? Because today there's infinite things that you can gather data on. What should you actually focus on to build your evidence base? Well, to find out, you should watch this video next.